Major General Buchanan, first of all, thank you for your service, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks for having me on your show today, John.
Yes, sir. Major General, we had many, as you know, 4th Infantry families anxious to have their loved ones home from Iraq. What is the timeline? Can you define that for us right now?
Well, the 4th Infantry Division has done a magnificent job here over the past year. This, of course, being the division headquarters' 4th tour in Iraq, and they're wrapping up. And the division is in the process of redeploying the headquarters now, and the element will change out. And we will go from 2 division headquarters in Iraq to 1 before the end of the month.
All right, sir. And how about that last division?
Well, the last division is the 25th Infantry Division that's based back home in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, and they will be here until December. And as you know, in accordance with the security agreement that Iraq and the United States signed in 2008, our forces will be completely withdrawn and will transition to a full civilian authority by the end of this year, at the end of December.
All right, sir. But now, after the end of the year, you're telling me there will be no U.S. troops remaining in Iraq after the withdrawal, or if there will be some, what role will they play?
Well, there will be a small element here, less than 200 people, under the authority of the U.S. Ambassador, Jim Jeffrey, as he leads Iraq's civil capacity development with a relationship between Iraq and the United States that's more typical of relationships between countries that have a more mature relationship. So it'll be a relationship that's dominated by civilian and diplomatic presence and one by military presence. The small military element here will be what's called the Office of Security Cooperation. They work under the ambassador's authority to do some technical training of military equipment that the Iraqi forces have bought.
Major General, we're learning that Iraqi leaders say they need U.S. military trainers to stay beyond the withdrawal deadline, but they do not want those troops to be granted immunity from prosecution. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, our 2 governments remain working very closely together in a series of discussions about what that relationship might look like. We have no agreements yet. If we have an agreement, it could be defined by a role for the U.S. military to provide some training assistance. But for right now, the agreement that we have is the one that was signed by our 2 countries in 2008.
Do you think we would make that agreement without our troops being granted immunity?
Our position has been fairly consistent in that our troops must have legal protections regardless of where they serve, just like they do around the world.
Sir, you're there, and give us an idea of the reaction of the Iraqi people to the withdrawal of U.S. troops.
Well, I think that, you know, by and large, the Iraqi people have learned to appreciate all the work that we have done. We've given them some opportunities that they have not had in the past, clearly with development of democracy, help with civil infrastructure, as well as very clearly security. At the same time, they have never enjoyed what many of them view as a foreign occupation. So they're heartened by all the work that we've done to help train the Iraqi security forces, who now number more than 650,000 troops. And it's their confidence in those security forces that will carry them forward into the future.
Major General Buchanan, last question here. You know, on a local level, we're a local news outlet. We depend on the national and international press to give us a view of what's happening in Iraq. What are we not seeing maybe in their coverage?
I think that one thing that we haven't seen is the tremendous work that's been done here over the years to help build Iraq's civil capacity, everything from rebuilding schools and providing teacher education programs to medical care, the electricity sector, help with the economy, help with the agricultural sector. So this has been a whole of U.S. government approach. in many ways led by the military, especially in the early years, but increasingly has been taken on by the U.S. Embassy, and it's that relationship that will carry us well into the future, beyond the end of 2011, where we'll have a strong partnership between Iraq and the United States. We think that the Iraqi people deserve a country that is stable, that it's sovereign, and it's self-reliant, and we're headed in that direction. We think that they're on the right road. We don't fully see all the obstacles that are ahead. I think that my personal view is that they're headed in the right direction. I have a lot of confidence in the Iraqi people, but in many ways they've still got a lot to do to achieve the potential they deserve.
And having said that, just following up, are you seeing the first fruits of that investment in all those sectors there in Iraq?
Could you say that again, please? It came in broken.
You mentioned all the different areas where we have been working, U.S. government, many times through the military there. Are you seeing any first fruits of that investment into all those sectors in Iraq?
Okay, I got the investment part, and I got the part where you said, "Are you seeing?" But I can't hear what word you're using.
Sure. The first fruits. Are you seeing a harvest or any type of payoff right now? Understanding many of these payoffs for the investment that the U.S. government's making in Iraq and all the different sectors you talked about, you know, in the economy, in the agriculture, and so forth. Are you seeing any reward, any first fruit from that yet?
Yeah, I think that first of all, I think it's important to recognize all that has been done here over the years is really about people. And so I heard how you answered or asked the question. I would really prefer not to describe that as an investment. I mean, I know that there is certainly a monetary value associated with it and an investment of time. There's also been a tremendous amount of sacrifice on behalf of the American people, on behalf of the soldiers, the sailors, airmen, and Marines who have served over here over the years, and just as importantly, their families, as well as the Iraqi people. So there's been a lot of shared sacrifice. Now, as far as the opportunities that are available based on those sacrifices, absolutely. I think that we see that probably the biggest opportunity is with the growth of democracy. You know, when we saw the revolutions through the area that really started in about January or February, a number of different countries, we had some protests here in Iraq as well. But the nature of the protests in Iraq were fundamentally different than all the rest of those, because all of those other protests started with a question that had to do about form of government and whether or not the people had a role in choosing their form of government. Well, here in Iraq they have. They've chosen the form of government, and they've chosen who is leading the government. Here the issue is whether or not the government is delivering what the people deserve. And I think that as the values that underpin democracy grow, as the idea that the people have grows, that they're responsible for the government, and that the government increasingly is aware that they must be accountable to the people, everything from security, economic development, the provision of essential services will continue to head in the right direction. So we've seen, you know, day to day it can be very frustrating, but month to month and year to year it's been very rewarding to be a part of this.
Major General Buchanan, thank you again for your time, sir, and also thank you for your service again. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.